Hello! I am terribly sorry for the crappy lighting. It's overcast today and I can't do any better. I'm sorry. I also haven't updated in like ages. I get into this really bad pattern where it's like, okay, cool, I'll review the books that I've read. Oh, but I'll just finish this one that I'm currently reading and I can put that in that video too. And then that happens like 4 or 5 times in a row. And I end up having to review like 8 or 9 books in one video. So I'm sorry, this will probably be quite long because I have been reading a lot. I've also been incredibly busy. We've been having like rehearsals out the wazoo because with the play I'm in, and we had, oh, I'm so excited. Sorry, I'm on a bit of a high. We had our opening night last night and it went really, really well. We were all really nervous. We all thought it was going to go terribly, but it didn't. It went well, and the audience was, we had the most responsive, interactive audience that I've ever had. They like oohed and ahed and laughed like when they were supposed to, and it was, I've never heard such a audible response from an audience before. It was fantastic. We have another one tonight and fingers crossed it goes just as well. So yeah, that's partly why I haven't been making videos, because I've just been so busy. But I have been reading, so I will talk about them. I finished 100 Years of Solitude, yes, and I got out the review. I'm very proud of that review, actually. I think, looking back on it, I don't articulate my thoughts as well as I thought I did at the time, but I'm still pretty proud of it because I did put a lot of effort into that review. These ones, not so much. So I finished Affinity by Sarah Waters. This is the fourth Sarah Waters book I've read, and I'm sad to say, my least favourite of the ones I've read. I didn't enjoy this that much. I can sum it up in 3 words: lesbians, prison, and ghosts. Or ghosts, because it has a question mark. You're not quite sure. Ghosts? Maybe not. Yeah, I enjoyed the first half. I enjoyed the atmosphere of it. Pretty much you follow this girl. It's set in Victorian England, as many Sarah Waters books are. And you follow this young girl who's had, her father's died, she got depressed, she's in a bit of a bad spot. And as, you know, fairly wealthy, upper middle class people tend to do, she wants to do some volunteer work, and so she goes to the local prison. And to sort of be a friend to the prisoners. And then, you know, she meets this sort of, she becomes, what's the word? She has a crush on one of the prisoners there. It's a women's prison. Or, no, it's not. She just goes to the women's section of the prison. And when I first heard about this book and that it was set in a prison, I was a bit hesitant, because I was like, I know Sarah Waters writes about lesbians, and so I was a bit nervous that she was going to make sort of prison this sort of weird lesbian heaven, where it's like, all the ladies are free to have sex and it's such a lovely place. It's not. The prison in this is awful. It's grimy. Sarah Waters is fantastic at atmosphere, and it's grimy, it's dirty. You can almost just feel the filth as you walk into this place. And the first half, I think, or maybe 2/3, really almost felt like a non-fiction book. It felt like a Victorian reporter had gone into a Victorian prison and was giving you the scoop, because the main character, I can't even remember her name. That's how bland I felt this book was. She goes in and she goes into different parts of the prison. You know, you see the wards, you see the exercise bits, you see the mail room, you see the sort of dungeon, for lack of a better word, you know, the bit where the really naughty prisoners go and things like that, and it's really quite awful, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that it was a really horrible place and you really don't want to spend much time there. The thing, I just found this a bit, I felt like it was sort of a one-dimensional Sarah Waters book. It was just on a lower scale than her other books. It only had 2 main characters and 1 plot. And that was it. And, I mean, that's fairly good. A lot of other books do very well with just 2 characters and 1 plot. But with Sarah Waters, I've come to expect, you know, twists and turns and excitement and just sort of a bit more complexity in her plotting. And it was just very linear. It was very straightforward. and the last half I found really, really dull, and I didn't find the ending all that surprising. Yeah, so I actually ended up giving it 2 stars, and that feels really, like, blasphemous for me, because I'm like, it's Sarah Waters, how can I give it 2 stars? But I really just didn't enjoy it that much. Yes, I think hopefully this will just be a little bit of a blip on Sarah Waters and my relationship with her books. But yes. So, and then I listened to Matilda by Roald Dahl, which, it was lovely. It was read by Kate Winslet. It was only like 5 hours or something, and I just felt like something really nice. And, I wish Kate Winslet read more audiobooks. I mean, I understand, she's one of my favourite actresses of all time. And I understand, like, she's this, extremely famous, successful international actress. But I think she should use her talents for audiobooks. That's where the money is. But, it's so lovely. And one thing that is funny to me is that a lot of my memories of Matilda as a kid, because I loved it as a kid, is from the movies. And I did read the book as a kid, but all of my memories of it is from the movie. And the movie is American, but the book, and Kate Winslet, is English. And so she read it in her English accent, and she did lots of different English accents for different characters, and it was fantastic. So it really changed the image. I didn't just imagine the movie reeling in my head. It was actually quite different, except the Trunchbull. The actress they got to play her is perfect. Also, that cake scene where she makes the kid eat the cake, that was actually, it was slightly different, but yeah, it was still, they nailed that in the movie. But yeah, it was a British Matilda. It was fantastic. So I ended up, I think I gave that like 4 stars, maybe 5. I'm not sure. It was exactly what I needed. I needed just something familiar, but also it's, quite distant, because it was when I was a little kid that I read Matilda. So, yes, I loved it. Then I read Peter and Alice, which is a play by John Logan. I don't have it with me because I'm interested in theatre and plays, and so I've lent it to someone from, like, one of my theatre friends. I sound so pretentious, I'm so sorry. But yes, I lent it to a friend of mine who does plays and things, and so I don't have it to show. But the play I bought on Jen Campbell's recommendation. She's an author and a booktuber. I will link her channel down below. The play is about when the woman who inspired Alice in Wonderland meets the man who inspired Peter Pan. And I knew there was a man who inspired Peter Pan, thanks to Finding Neverland, also a Kate Winslet movie. But I didn't know there was a little girl who inspired Alice in Wonderland. I didn't know that. I loved it. This was a fantastic play. I didn't, adore it, but it was so good. It's very odd because it's a mixture of reality and fiction. They sort of go through their memories of what it was like interacting with the authors, and then they also interact with their fictionalized selves, the Peter Pan and the Alice in Wonderland, and it's sort of, as I was reading it, I was like, I have no idea how this thing would be staged. Like, what would the set be like? Because they're flipping from reality into various memories that they're having as they're having this conversation. It was very, very cool to read, and that's why I've lent it out to someone, because I really want someone to talk to about it. So I think I gave it 4 stars because I did really enjoy it. I just didn't love it. There are some plays that just grip me, and I grip them by the handles and I can't let go. This one wasn't like that, but it was very, very good. Then I went on a bit of a rereading stint. I reread To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This I actually only read for the first time this year. Earlier this year in February, I think. And I loved it. I don't know why, but I had this idea, I think because it's, so well loved, that it was really pretentious. But it's not at all. It's lovely. It's so just heartwarming in a really true way. Like, it's just so earnest. And I love, one thing that I love about this book is Scout. It goes over the course of maybe 2 or 3 years, I think, of her growing up. And over the course of the book, it goes from just her house to her street, to the end of her street, to school, and then to the town hall. And you sort of, slowly over time, you build this whole picture of this town, Macomb, that she lives in. And I love that because that's so true to growing up, you know. When I was little, my entire world was from my house to down the end of the street, which was my school. You know, I walked to school and I walked back home and that was it. And now, you know, my idea of home is, you know, to the city and back, which is, you know, an hour that way. So that happens as you grow up. Your idea of the world expands, and I loved that in this book. It also just so subtly combines the exploration of society with the intimate characters. Like, so many people want to explore big ideas through characters. I mean, that's a goal of novels, right? But so few get the balance exactly right. Harper Lee does. She's a flippin' genius. It was so wonderful to reread. Yes, I gave it 5 stars. I don't think there's much else I can say. It is lovely, and I read it obviously in eager anticipation of Go Set a Watchman, which I am currently reading. I'm not loving it as much as To Kill a Mockingbird, but I didn't expect I was going to. But I am enjoying it, actually, and I just can't wait to finish it because I haven't read anyone else's opinion of it because I want to finish it first. So I can't wait to finish that one. But yes, this is still just as brilliant as it was in February. And then I also re-listened to a book, which is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. The Girl on the Train and To Kill a Mockingbird were my favourite books this year. And so I'm already rereading them. That's how much I loved them. Obviously, they were my top 2 books. This one I think is better, but I love them both in different ways. The Girl on the Train follows an unlikely protagonist, and that's one of my favourite things. It's Rachel. She's an alcoholic, and I mean, talk about an unreliable narrator. For a psychological thriller, which is what The Girl on the Train is, it was a perfect choice of a protagonist, because she has these blank spots in her memory because she drinks so much. She can't remember things clearly. And I remember the first time I read this, it was like March or something, and I listened to it. It was like a 10-hour audiobook, and I listened to it in under 48 hours. Like, in 2 days, I just couldn't do anything else but listen to it. I was just so hooked. And the audiobook, I think it's my favourite audiobook of all time, because there are 3 women who have POVs, and they got 3 different actresses to read their parts in the audiobook, and it just works so well. They all put in an amazing voice performance, and one of them, the woman who plays Megan, a character in the book, is Louise Breedley, I don't know, who plays Molly on Sherlock, and I love her. She's fantastic. She's a feminist, and she's written some stuff online that I've read, which is great, and so I was a fan of her, and then I listened to this audiobook, and I'm like, oh, who are these people? These people are amazing. So I looked them up, and I'm like, it's Molly? Oh my gosh. So that was exciting. I didn't recognise her voice at all. That's how good she is. So yes, I enjoyed the reread, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the first time, obviously, because with psychological thrillers, they, you know, pull you in, and part of the motivation is what's going to happen. With this, I knew exactly what was going to happen. So I actually got to enjoy it in a different way. I got to sort of look at some of the themes that are presented in this book, you know, like motherhood and being sort of middle-aged women, and the idea of pitting women against each other in life, and this sort of odd, you know, corruptive idea of women are in competition with each other. And how harmful that is to your happiness. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this book. I cannot wait for Paula Hawkins to write another book. I will devour it the day it comes out. I just wanted to write something else. Then I also read Saga, Volume 1 and 2. I cannot show you them because I read them on my digitally on my phone. They're so good. I've heard so much about them. I'm sure you have too, on BookTube and off BookTube and stuff. And I've been wanting to read them for so long. And I was kind of hesitant to start because I was just kind of like, oh, what if they're not as good as everyone says? And I'm not really into graphic novels, and so I was kind of like, I'm not sure if this is for me. But I started, and it is so good. It's this odd sort of, first of all, the art is amazing. I love the art, and it's really diverse, and I I'm not one of those people who are like, it's got diverse people and thus you should watch it even if you don't enjoy it, or read it even if you don't enjoy it. But having a diverse, you know, set of characters that aren't all white is a positive. But that's not the reason you should read it. The reason you should read it is because it has a fantastic story. It's so creative. It's sci-fi, so there's lots of different creatures and things that you turn the page and suddenly there's this creature that you'd never even imagined before, but this person has, and they've drawn it for you, and it's just so good. And the story, I am addicted. I read the first 2 volumes in one day. I just zoomed through them because I was like, I have to know what happens, and I'm still like that. I'm just kind of like, calm down, Tegan. The story, like, it's not finished yet. This comic's probably going to go for quite a while. You're not going to know how it ends anytime soon, so take a breath. But yes, it is excellent. I think I gave the first one 4 stars because it was a fantastic introduction to this world and these characters. But I gave the second volume 5 stars because it really amped things up and I felt like I was getting into more of the meat of the story and I understood these characters. And it's so amazing how much I feel like it's got a cast of characters and how much I feel I know about each of them, even from the little bit of dialogue that I've got from them. It's really impressing me how stories are told through graphic novels. I don't know if Saga's like an outlier and that it's just really good at it, or if all graphic novels are this good. Who knows? I don't know, but Saga is amazing. Then I also read Ms. Marvel Chapter 1. It wasn't the first volume, it was just the first chapter. I didn't like this. I didn't mind it. It was, you know, I really like the protagonist, you know, the Pakistani girl, Pakistani teenager who doesn't quite know where she fits in. I liked her, but I just don't like superhero stories. That's just, maybe it's a fault of my character, I don't know. The only superhero movie that I've genuinely, like, really loved is The Incredibles by Pixar. Yeah, I'm just not into superhero stories. I just find them kind of boring and kind of predictable. So yeah, I don't think I'll continue with Ms. Marvel, even if she's, you know, an interesting character, and I know that there's some feminist themes that come up later on, I think, but I just don't care. I can't. I'm not going to force myself to read something that I know I'm not really going to enjoy. So yes, I'm glad that it exists, but I won't read it. So that's it. That's everything that I finished. I'm currently reading Go Set a Watchman, and I'm also currently reading Uprooted by Naomi Novik, which is fantastic. I'm loving it. And I'm hoping to really dig into it after I finish Go Set a Watchman. So yes, but I'll talk about those more when I actually finish them. So yes, that's my update. Sorry this video is so long. I hope to update a bit more, but I'm still going to be quite busy with my play. So thank you for watching. If you've got all the way to the end, you get a gold star. A figurative gold star, but a gold star nonetheless. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.